Welcome back. This is Chicken Philosophy, the Nag Hammadi, part 41. If you'd like to look at the playlist, maybe start with episode 1. It's up to you, or you can stay, whatever you want to do. There's the playlist. Alright. So today we're going to continue reading the Gospel of Thomas. I think this is our third episode where we're reading the Gospel of Thomas. Alright, but usually we do a few things first, like for example, water and fire. We'll start with water. This is not, in fact, Vedika brand bottled water. It was once, at least the bottle was, and since then it's been, filtered water. Cheers. And for the fire, we have frankincense, Morning Star brand frankincense, Japanese temple meditation incense. So water and frankincense, and the ashtray is not in a good place. I'm gonna have to rethink this. Alright, that should work. And myrrh, same Morning Star brand Japanese meditation and or temple incense, frankincense and myrrh. So we got the water, we got the frankincense, and we got the myrrh. You got to remember not to blow on it. Old habits die hard, Okay, that's on the floor. Ow, I burned myself. Alright. And rose and amber, Japanese temple Morning Star brand incenses as well. One of each. So for the water, we have actual water. And for fire, we have frankincense and myrrh, and rose and amber. And it's lovely. Alright, next thing we do after that, that's nice, is we do our honorary, tip of the hat to Orthodox Christianity and Orthodox Christianity in the form of bibliomancy, philokalia, bibliomancy. So it says here, you must avoid continuously wasting time outside your cell. Sorry, time and place here. If you have indeed chosen to practice stillness, for it is most harmful, depriving you of grace, darkening your mind, and sapping your aspiration. This is like an introvert's. That is why it is said, quote, restlessness of desire perverts the guileless intellect, end quote, Wisdom 4:12. Is that Proverbs? So restrict your relationships with other people. Probably not. Lest your intellect should become distracted and your life of stillness disrupted? Question mark. Saint Theodorus the Great Ascetic, to A Century of Spiritual Text, section 56. All right. Well, thank you, Orthodox Christianity, for that. Now we'll go to the other side of the spectrum. and read a paragraph from Living Gnosis. Okay. Here, where? I don't know. We'll have to check the previous episode. Yeshua clearly speaks, maybe what they're about to say, not what they just said. Here, Yeshua clearly speaks of insiders and outsiders, to those whom the secret of the kingdom of God is given, now I remember, and those from whom the secret knowledge is hidden. We find a very similar passage in the Gospel of St. Matthew also. Then the disciples came and asked him, quote, why do you speak to them in parables? End quote. He answered, quote, to you it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For to those who have, more will be given, and they will have in abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. The reason I speak to them in parables is that, quote within quotes, seeing them, what? Seeing they do not perceive, and hearing they do not listen, nor they understand, end quote. I guess you can put me in that category. Okay, that's the end of the paragraph. So, thank you, Dao Lachi, for that. We'll just finish what he says about that. In this passage, Yeshua also speaks of outsiders and insiders, and he indicates the distinction between the insider and the outsider. The insider is a person who already has some degree of gnosis or direct spiritual experience of the truth and light, while the outsider lacks any real gnosis or spiritual experience of the truth. It also implies that the insider is chosen or elect, in the sense that he or she has a certain degree of spiritual maturity and soul evolution, which others do not have. So it seems like that's like a reading of Matthew, and Matthew is in orthodoxy, so it seems like what he was saying applied equally in the way he was, you know what I mean? No? Never mind. Doesn't matter. All right. Now we'll, move on to the Nag Hammadi reading for today. Okay, ready? 30. Jesus said, quote, where there are 3 deities, they are divine. When there are 2 or 1, I am with that one. Okay. Jesus said, quote, a prophet is not acceptable in the prophet's own town. A doctor does not heal those who know the doctor, because they know he's, end quote. Is that an end quote? Yeah, Jesus said, quote, a building built upon a high hill and fortified cannot fall, nor can it be hidden, end quote. Jesus said, quote, what will you hear in your ear? In your other ear proclaim from the rooftops. For no one lights a lamp and puts it under a basket, nor does one put it in a hidden place. Rather, one puts it on a stand so that all who come and go will see its light, end quote. Jesus said, quote, if a blind person leads a blind person, both of them will fall into a hole, end quote. All of it sounds familiar from things that aren't Gospel of Thomas. Jesus said, quote, you cannot enter a house of the strong and take it by force without tying the person's hands. Then you can loot the person's house, end quote. Why are you giving people this kind of advice, Jesus? Jesus said, quote, do not worry from morning to evening and from evening to morning about what you will wear, end quote. His disciples said, quote, when will you appear to us and when shall we see you, end quote. Jesus said, quote, when you strip without being ashamed, and you take your clothes and put them under your feet like little children and trample them, then you will see the child of the living one, and you will not be afraid, end quote. Jesus said, quote, often you have desired to hear these sayings that I am speaking to you, and you have no one else from whom to hear them. There will be days when you will seek me and you will not find me, end quote. Jesus said, quote, the Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They have not entered, nor have they allowed those who want to enter to do so. As for you, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves, end quote. And try not to get too anti-Semitic with all that. Just, I've heard that really quoted amongst assholes, Anyway, or whatever that reminds me of. Jesus said, quote, a grapevine has been planted away from the Father. Since it is not strong, it will be pulled up by its roots and will perish, end quote. Like, can't you see a bunch of, anti-Semitic white people, nudging each other and looking at each other yeah, right, right, yeah, the apocalypse, Jesus will come back, Israel, and you're like, guys, stop, just stop. Jesus said, quote, whoever has something in hand will be given more, and whoever has nothing will be deprived of even the little that person has, end quote. Jesus said, quote, by passers-by, end quote. By passers-by, end quote. I guess I should have said. His disciples said to him, quote, who are you to say these things to us? End quote. His disciples said to Jesus. Okay. Quote, you do not know who I am from what I say to you. Rather, you have become like the Jewish people. I think, oh shit, I've only been recording for a few minutes. Okay. We'll read it. For they love the tree but hate its fruit, or they love the fruit but hate the tree, end quote. Jesus said, quote, whoever blasphemes against the Father will be forgiven, and whoever blasphemes against the Son will be forgiven. But whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, either on earth or in heaven, end quote. Jesus said, quote, grapes are not harvested from thorn bushes, nor are figs gathered from thistles, for they yield no fruit. A good person brings forth good from the storehouse. A bad person brings forth evil things from the corrupt storehouse in the heart, and says evil things. For from the abundance of the heart this person brings forth evil things. End quote. Jesus said, quote, from Adam to John the Baptizer, among those born of women, there is no one greater than John the Baptizer, so that his eyes should not be averted. What? But I have said that whoever among you becomes a child will know the kingdom and will become greater than John. End quote. Jesus said, quote, a person cannot mount 2 horses or bend 2 bows, and a servant cannot serve 2 masters, or that servant will honor the one and offend the other. No person drinks aged wine and immediately desires to drink new wine. New wine is not poured into aged wineskins, or they might leak. And aged wine is not poured into a new wineskin, or it might spoil. An old patch is not sewn onto a new garment. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you knew what we've gotten into for this episode. Jesus said, quote, if 2 make peace with each other in a single house, they will say to the mountain, quote, within quotes, move from here, end quote, within quotes, and it will move, end quote. Jesus said, quote, blessed are those who are alone and chosen, for you will find the kingdom. For you have come from it, and you will return there again. End quote. Those same, apocalypse nuts, Episcopalians, or not Episcopalians, evangelicals, nudging each other, yeah, right? Never mind. Jesus said, quote, if they say to you, quote, within quotes, where have you come from, end quote, within quotes, say to them, quote, within quotes, we have come from the light, from the place where the light came into being by itself, established itself, and appeared in their image, end quote, within quotes. If they say to you, quote, within quotes, is it you? And quote within quotes, say, quote within quotes, we are its children, and we are the chosen of the living Father, end quote within quotes. If they ask you, quote within quotes, what is the evidence of your Father in you? End quote within quotes. Say to them, quote within quotes, it is motion and rest, end quote within quotes, end quotes. His disciples said to him, quote within quote, his disciples said to him, quote, when will the rest for the dead take place? And when will the new world come? End quote, within quotes. He said to them, quote, what you look for has come, but you do not know it, end quote. His disciples said to him, quote, 24 prophets have spoken in Israel, and they all spoke of you. End quote, within quotes. He said to them, quote, you have disregarded the living one who is in your presence, and have spoken of the dead, end quote. His disciples said to him, quote, is circumcision useful or not? End quote. He said to them, quote, if it were useful, children's fathers would produce them already circumcised from their mothers. Rather, the true circumcision in spirit has become valuable in every respect. End quote. Jesus said to them, quote, blessed are the poor, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. End quote. Jesus said, quote, whoever does not hate the father and mother cannot be a disciple of me. Whoever does not hate the father, cannot be a disciple of me. And whoever does not hate brothers and sisters and hear the cross as I do will not be worthy of me. End quote. Jesus said, quote, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass, and whoever has discovered a carcass of that person the world is not worthy. End quote. Jesus said, quote, the Father's kingdom is like a person who had good seed. His enemy came at night and sowed weeds among the good seed. The person did not let them pull up the weeds, but said to them, quote in quotes, no, or you might go pull up the weeds and pull up the wheat along with them, end quote within quotes. For on the day of the harvest the weeds will be conspicuous and will be pulled up and burned, end quotes. Jesus said, quote, blessed is the person who has labored and has found life, end quote. Jesus said, quote, look to the living one as long as you live, or you might die, and when you try to see the living one, and you will be unable to see. What? And then you try to, instead of when, end quote. He saw, in bracket parentheses, a Samaritan carrying a lamb as he was going to Judea. He said to his disciples, quote, that person is carrying the lamb around, end quote. That's the first thing he said that made any sense. They said to him, quote, then he may kill it and eat it, end quote. That makes sense too. He said to them, quote, he will not eat it while it is alive, but only after he has killed it and it has become a carcass, end quote. They said to him, quote, otherwise he cannot eat it, end quote. He said to them, quote, so also with you, seek for yourselves a place for rest, or you might become a carcass and be eaten, end quote. Jesus said, quote, two will rest on a couch, one will die and one will live, end quote. Salome said, what? When? Oh, okay, there's someone there named Salome, I guess. Salome said, quote, who are you, mister? You have climbed onto my couch and have eaten from my table, as if you are from someone, end quote. Jesus said to her, quote, I am the one who comes from what is whole. I was given from the things of my Father, end quote. Quote, I am your disciple, end quote. Quote, for this reason I say, if one is whole, one will be filled with light, but if one is divided, one will be filled with darkness, end quote. I've heard that misused, anyway, back in February or so of 13. And quote, Jesus said, quote, I disclose my mysteries to those who are worthy of my mysteries. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, end quote. Jesus said, quote, there was a rich person who had a great deal of money. He said, quote, within quotes, I shall invest my money so that I may sow, reap, plant, and fill my storehouses with produce that I may lack nothing, end quote, within quotes. These were the things he was thinking in his heart, but that very night he died. Whoever has ears should hear, end quote. That's always a good one. I don't know. I think that's a good one. Like, be in the now. Like, seems to be the message there. He said to them, quote, that he may kill it and eat it. Oh no, we read that already. Jesus said, quote, a person was receiving guests. When he had prepared the dinner, he sent his servant to invite the guests. The servant went to the first one and said to that one, quote, then quotes, my master invites you, end quote, then quotes. That person said, quote, then quotes, some merchants owe me money. They are coming to me tonight. I must go and give them instructions. Please excuse me from dinner, end quote, then quotes. The servant went to another and said to that one, quote, then quotes, my master has invited you, end quote, then quotes. That person said to that servant, quote, then quotes, I have bought a house and I have been called away for a day. I shall have no time, end quote, then quotes. The servant went to another and said to that one, quote, then quotes, my master invites you. That person said to the servant, quote, then quotes, my friend is to be married and I am to arrange the banquet. I shall not be able to come. Please excuse me from dinner, end quote, then quotes. The servant went to another and said to that one, quote, then quotes, my master invites you, end quote, then quotes. That person said to the servant, quote, then quotes, I have bought an estate and I am going to collect the rent. I shall not be able to come. Please excuse me, end quote, then quotes. The servant returned and said to the master, end quote, then quotes, the people whom you invited to dinner have asked to be excused, end quote, then quotes. The master said to his servant, quote, then quotes, go to the streets and bring back whomever you find to have dinner, end quote, then quotes. Buyers and merchants will not enter the places of my Father, end quote, then quotes. He said, quote, end quote. He said, quote, a usurer, a what? A creditor, owned a vineyard and rented it to some farmers, so that they might work it and he might collect its produce from them. He sent his servant so that the farmers might give the servant the produce of the vineyard. They seized, beat, and almost killed his servant, and the servant returned and told his master. His master said, quotes, within quotes, perhaps he did not know them, end quote, end quote. He sent another servant, and the farmer beat that one as well. Then the master sent his son and said, quote, end quotes, perhaps they will show my son some respect, end quote, end quote. Since the farmers knew he was the heir to the vineyard, they seized him and killed him. Whoever has ears should hear, end quote. All right. Don't send your kids down to the factory that you own. All right. Thanks, Jesus, I guess. Like, who's that for? Jesus said, quote, show me the stone that the builders rejected. That is the cornerstone, end quote. Jesus said, quote, one who knows everything but lacks in oneself, lacks everything, end quotes. Jesus said, quote, blessed are you when you are hated and persecuted, and no place will be found wherever you have been persecuted, end quote. Jesus said, quote, blessed are they who have been persecuted in their hearts. They are the ones who have come to know the Father. Blessed are they who are hungry, so that the stomach of the person in want may be filled. All right. That's enough. That's all I can endure for one day, and I have to apologize. I mean, you tune into something thinking it's going to be heretical Gnosticism, and it just sounds like someone reading the Bible for 20 minutes. So that's what you get today. Jesus. It seems superfluous that we did a nod to orthodoxy in the beginning when it just felt like orthodoxy. But whatever. No, it's cool. No, it's always fun to read a paragraph or a bibliomancy of something. Let me think of a good thing. All right. Let's do some bibliomancy from the Yoga Sutras. All right. 44, Book 1. In the same way, the reflective and super or non-reflective samadhi, or like state of ongoing now, conscious awareness, enlightenment, more or less, but not exactly the same as nirvana or bodhi, the three different words, but which are practiced upon subtle objects, are explained. All right, so that's what you got for today. A little bit of a teaser. I think there was some controversy around this guy. This book was recommended to me before that was spread all over the internet, and I was like, oh man, him too. Like, yeah, there's a lot of gurus that did a little bit of sketchy stuff. A lot of them. So, I hope you enjoyed it on whatever level. I don't know. The music, maybe. And next time it's going to be BT doing Divine Pymander. But the good news is, after that, it'll be Edward doing I Ching. That should be fun. But last time on Buddhist Books Podcast was Platform Sutra. Platform Sutra Part 5. So that was good. Enlightenment is pure. Creating the mind that seeks enlightenment is delusion. Yeah, so click the end screen. I hope you enjoy it. And other than that, I hope you're doing well. Until next time. We send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Oh.